Thank you for joining us. My name is Julia Coakley, Director of Operations. On behalf of the MGAA, I'd like to welcome you to our briefing this afternoon, which is being delivered by Inari. Before handing over to our presenter today, I'd just like to cover a few housekeeping points. To protect our bandwidth, please ensure your microphone and your camera are off. And if you'd like to ask a question, please use the chat button at the bottom of your screen. Your questions will be answered during the Q&A session and will remain anonymous. However, if we don't have time to answer your question, they will be addressed post-event, providing you provide your contact details. This presentation is accredited for CPD points if relevant to your ongoing professional development, and the recording will be available in our website and on the MGAA user YouTube channel. Please sign into your user account to view this recording and more videos of topics specifically recorded to meet the needs of our managing general agents. You'll be sent a feedback survey post-event, so please do take time to complete this, which will take no more than 2 minutes of your time. And this is really valuable information to make sure that we're putting on the best quality events for our membership. So today's market briefing is being delivered by Inari, and I'd like to introduce Frank Perkins, CEO, Oliver Fox, Account Executive, Norbert Jimeno, Key Account Manager, Karina Alvarez, Product Design Manager, and Maysam El-Kai, Business Analyst Lead. Frank brings to Inari 20 years experience as an insurance executive and IT engineer in cutting-edge technologies, as well as entrepreneur and sought-after public speaker. Frank has a passion for innovation and vision built into reality. Ollie has worked in commercial teams of 3 different London-based insurtechs that are focused on helping insurance professionals make better decisions faster and digitise manual-based tasks, both of which aim to improve the commercial insurance process for the policyholder. Norbert is responsible for taking care of clients and ensuring that their needs are met. Prior to joining Inari, he worked as an account executive for high net worth individuals, still in the financial services industry, where he developed strong skills in client management and relationship building. Karina started her professional career as a designer, but after taking a break to study, she now focuses on understanding client needs and translating that into prototypes and visual designs. And last but not least, Maysam joined Inari 3 years ago to support the company's rapid growth in developing cutting-edge solutions for its customers. She's been instrumental in developing the Sir Hoken product suite, Inari's reinsurance, policy administration and credit control solutions. So Frank, if I might hand over to you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for the introduction. So we've already virtually met the speakers. If we can go to the next slide, please, which is the learning objectives. So very happy to be here today, and thank you for the opportunity to present and have this briefing session. So what we'll be looking at today is the outline of Inari's place within the insurance and reinsurance value chain, how our products not only can help MGAs and insurers, but also ultimately help the policyholder, right, which is always a very important part of our industry. What the Inari ecosystem is and what the partnership benefits are, and then understanding a bit on how technology in our market improve our customer experience of our clients and make premiums cheaper, which is quite a bold statement, but a lot of the things that we do can help with expense ratios and ultimately with combined ratios when having to trade in insurance. So these will be sort of the main key topics today, and as it was mentioned previously, we have a Q&A session at the end where we're very happy to respond to your questions. So if we can move to the next slide, where we'll talk about the agenda very briefly. So our agenda for today is we're going to talk a bit about the value chain and some of the core concepts behind the Inari ecosystem and how they can help with MGAs and insurers. We'll have a deep dive into the product, where we'll be looking at how our platforms actually operate. We'll then be discussing on how partnerships can benefit MGAs, insurance companies, and ultimately the policyholders. And then last but not least, our collaboration. So if we can go to the next slide. So we set up Inari in 2017. There are 4 founding members to the company. We all have between 15 to 25 years experience individually, or each one of us in the insurance world. working at insurers and reinsurers and MGAs, and also in the case of myself and one of my partners, we actually set up an insurance and a couple of MGAs back in the day in 2010. So through working through the industry for quite a long time now, what we started to pick up on was a couple of core themes, right? We felt that technology could be implemented within sort of the MGA insurance and reinsurance space, for that fact, in a different way where it makes the interaction more meaningful, right? So what does that actually mean? So we set out to build a series of policy administration systems for MGAs, insurers, and reinsurers, and then by extension a bordereau management tool. And for us, it was very important, 4 key items, or that rule of 4 that we'll be seeing later on in the presentation. So one of them is our platform and our ecosystems have been built to have a great user experience. So, people actually using the policy administration system have an easy time doing so. So we incorporate philosophies such as zero training, which means you can sit down in front of our platform and start using it, and everything is very intuitively where it should be, right? And again, trying to make the process of using our platform as delightful as possible, or as delightful as trading insurance and reinsurance can be on a system. The second step is related to efficiency. It's how do we make meaningful automation within the platform, right? So I think what happens a lot of times is we're sat down in front of technology. We put a lot of effort in keying in things, copying and pasting, but the system really doesn't give us anything back. And so one of the things we set out with Inari is one of the things we do give back is people's time, which is a very valuable commodity. So that means our focus is our platforms do the things systems should be doing from an automation perspective, and try and free up people's time using the platform to actually analyze risk, manage risk, quantify risk, or do more meaningful human-based operations. A third piece, which is very important as well, is interconnectivity, right? So our approach has been sort of in reverse of other approaches in the past. So we've built Inari to integrate with other insurtechs and with other data sources. So at Inari, we know what we do very, very well in our ecosystem, but then we have a very strong network of partners within the insurtech and data space, which we integrate with so we can give a best-in-class experience to our users. So sometimes that experience will be us, sometimes it will be us integrating with other partners, but we take away all the friction of integration, and we commoditize the power of connected ecosystems for our clients, in a very, very transparent and low effort and low risk way. And the third bit that we understood, which is vital, is data, right? So, we talk about data a lot, but the way we understand it is data in the real world and insurance behaves in a very, very specific way. And our platform matches sort of that behavior in the way we capture information. We use things like event sourcing and other technologies to really have a very granular, fine-tuned, immutable, and time-tracked access to that information. And so these are the core elements behind our platform. And I think that's the core elements for any modern MGA or insurer today. Having a great user experience, interconnected platforms, really great access to data, and have the platform do a lot of the heavy lifting of those more mundane tasks that happen. We can change to the next slide, please. So where do we position ourselves in the value chain? So we have 4 products, 3 are in production, 1 is in final development right now. So we have a bordereau management tool, we have an MGA/insurance company policy administration system, and then we have an inwards and outwards reinsurance system. And so where we sit in the value chain over time is we've developed our products that all come from the same core technology. We've seen that we're able to help our customers solve different challenges in different parts of the value chain. So where we'll be focusing today, obviously, is within the MGA and insurance company part of the value chain, and we'll be talking about Kitsune, which is our policy administration system, and Matsuri, which is our bordereau management product, with a focus on that, and how these products take these 4 key principles of how we believe a modern MGA or insurance company should operate, or what technology should help them to do, and we'll be seeing how that's applied here. So if we can move to the next slide, please. So we look at things quite holistically from Inari, from a platform and ecosystem perspective. And so the system, is very, very good at managing or provides that really great experience in the bits that we cover, sort of within the submission capture, the quote bind, and portfolio management and audit and compliance space. But then we make it extraordinarily easy to do third-party integrations, both us pulling information and us feeding other systems. And so the way we look at it is we have sort of one long journey of risk of the policy through its life cycle, starting with distribution, origination of risk, and then how we manage that as we capture that risk, how we quote and bind it, how we manage the portfolio, and how we perform post-bind activities after that. And so this is sort of the map, and at different parts of this life cycle and at different feature sets, that's where either it's Inari performing these functions, or where we're partnering with other individuals, other companies to offer that experience. And so when it gets to be as you sit down and you start operating within our platform, and different interactions will transparently happen, and what we'll see is things that will happen, very, very easily, very, very quickly with that great user experience. So if we can go to the next slide briefly. And so here where this is sort of the key points of our presentation today is how does modern technology help you ingest, manage, quote, and manage insurance in a very, very easy way, which is how we believe it should happen, right? So it talks about things as, a user shouldn't have to spend 1 week training to use a policy administration system. That experience should be very, very intuitive. The system should give you things back, insights, data, time. These are sort of things that are very important for us. Is data captured and managed in a way that's symbiotic with how it behaves in the real world, and then how we can feed that data either into our systems or in other systems and make that management of risk meaningful. And then how do we make that integration very, very easy, right? And how do we bring different parties into the mix and with a different philosophy on how systems are managed. So with this, I'm going to hand over to Karine and Maysam that will continue talking about this product philosophy and different products.
Thank you. Thank you, Frank. So I will pick off. So Maysam from the BA manager team at Inari. I wanted to explain more about our philosophy in designing and ultimately developing our solution. So we follow simple design principles. So we divide our solution definition in 3 phases, and then we repeat that over time. Those phases are to discover. So we want to know, even whether it's our existing product or the customization part that we would need to implement in our current product suite with our clients, we want to know what the business need is, what are the use cases, where are the user's pain points. And so because our product team also includes people who come from the insurance industry, we're able to understand those needs within the context of the operation of our clients. Moving from discovery to define, we help our design team put together this context into a solution that, as Frank was saying, is user friendly. It's intuitive, that it makes sense for the end user using the system, because the system is there to help the end user and not the other way around. By doing this process, there's collective intelligence that is being used into putting the information in the right places and for the right reasons, for the right next steps that the user would need. With that, we then build confidence that in what we're developing will be intuitive for the user and will provide the user experience that we're looking to achieve. We work agile, and so we value iterations a lot and repeats this process as many times as needed to achieve that ultimate user experience. We have the guiding principles that you can see here on screen. We focus on building solutions that can do the heavy lifting for our users. And an example would be to enforce real-time governance, thanks to our technology. We focus on the user experience. We want to provide the users with the right tools that they need to do what they need to do, which is to manage risk across its policy lifecycle. So that would apply to all the markets that we're operating in. We focus on data management. We make sure that on screens we can use whatever data that's into the system, whether it's been entered by a user or it's been provided by a certain integration or enriched from somewhere, that is shown to the users in the right place at the right time in the process. And we value integration. If there's something that we do very well, we would do it. But if there's something that other insurtechs are doing very well and are doing it better, then we want to promote that integration to improve that workflow. So whether it's on our existing solutions or within our product evolution, we focus on those guiding principles to provide the best user experience. With that, I will pass on to our product design manager, who can explain more on how practically that's being done.
Hi, I'm Karina, and I'm product design manager at Inari. So as Mason says, this is the workflow we use to work in each of our products, and this is not only helping us to understand the client needs and user needs, but also how we can best provide them with the best solution possible. Not only because we go through different phases where first we discover, then we define, then we iterate and see if that works or not, but also because we take into consideration that pain points that the user have by sharing with them from the moment that we think about a feature that can help the user to do their work better. We check that with the users and we get direct feedback from them before moving into development. So that allow us to, first of all, manage expectations, but also to provide them with what they actually need. To be able to do that in an agile way, as Mason said, we are having a design system that allow us to keep consistency, not only in terms of design and UI, but also in terms of user experience on how the platforms work. So as you will see in a bit, our products are very similar because that allow us to actually say very proud that the user experience of our products is pretty good because the user doesn't need a training to use them, because are pretty easy and pretty intuitive and allow the user to do what actually they need to do. We can move to the next slide, please. So one of our products is our binder management tool that is called Matsuri, and I think that it's a perfect example of the 4 principles that we defined before, defined by Mason and Frank, because basically all the heavy lifting is done by the system. So let's do the computer do what they need, and let's allow the user to focus on what they need to focus, right? So that's the best principle that we have implemented in Matsuri, where the user basically here can ingest bordereaux, sanitize data, make a standard of that data, take into consideration which are the things that need to be fixed before taking the policies into the portfolio based on the rules and things that has been said previously on the system from an administration area. The user can see very easily some KPIs and information regarding their portfolios based on all of that ingestion. We are talking here that carriers, MGAs, or even reinsurance companies can get a bordereau into the system in less than 5 minutes, and that bordereau will be clean, sanitized, enriched, and with all the standards accomplished. One of the things that we are working on in terms of roadmap is something related to administration, where the user will spend even less time on managing a binder, because it will related to an auto mapping, where depending on the templates that you are ingesting, the system will tell you, hey, you should do this instead of something else, which is pretty useful. So that means that the user do not need to spend more than half an hour on managing something that will help, that will make his day easier. Also, the ability to generate those clean templates. So that means that then those templates can be shared to other parties to follow it, and then everything will be much easier. And also allow the user to manage those data standards, because at the end, for example, we have one data standard today implemented and another one that is coming that is following Lloyd's, but also there are some other solutions that could be tailored to the user, and that's why we want to develop also that feature into the roadmap. Regarding on the extensions, we are talking about third-party access. So instead of forcing, for example, the cover holder to send every month a bordereau, let's allow the cover holder to enter into a very easy and user-friendly interface where they can upload that bordereau, get alerts in the right moment when they do that, and make sure that what they are uploading is going to be actually what should be. Also, policy administration system integration, not only with the one that we have, but also with something that are outside in the market, like WebSure, for example. And that's our binder management tool. And I will pass back to Mason to talk through Kitsune, which is our policy administration system.
Yes, thank you, Karina. If we can move to the next slide yes. So our Kitsune, our policy administration tool, has your basic features that you would be looking for. So from submission to bind policy, and we have additional post-bind capabilities that are included in our roadmap. So here, what's important in the tool, and we always we've been mentioning a lot our user experience, but a lot of the time the content within a submission doesn't have to be manually entered. So we have worked with integration of being able to translate an address into geocodes, for example. So we incorporate within the user workflow of putting that submission information into the tool. We incorporate features that can help the user do that faster. In terms of our Kitsune product, we have administration areas, and within that administration area, our users can directly manage their parties. So they'll be able to set up any party that they're working with and have that integrated with their policy submission flow. And the binding authority to be able to set the conditions in which certain policies can or cannot be written. And so we would incorporate within the flow of the user types of alerts that can let them know whether or not they're processing a submission that fits within or outside outside the parameters, let's say, that they're allowed to do. We have user admin as well, which is quite basic across all of our platform, ability to allow third parties access to that information with limited capabilities in terms of what third parties would be allowed to see or do within the platform. And what you see here on screen is our homepage. So basically, any user, when they log on to Inari first thing in the morning, they will have this homepage that is divided into all the different elements that are useful for them to proceed in organizing their day. So we have your usual quick numbers, alerts in terms of things that need immediate attention, a to-do list in terms of what policies require certain attention based on the workflow. We also have on our roadmap the intention of expanding the functionalities that we have of the user workflow in the policy administration to include document generation, codes generation, invoice creation, and what have you, and integration for further pricing capabilities as well. That my colleague Ollie will be able to expand more on. Our policy administration can sit on its own, but it can also be extended to include our credit control and claim FNOL, as well as our bordereau management tool that Karina has just shown you. So with that, I pass on to Ollie on the next slide.
Thanks, Mason. If we could go to the next slide, please. There we are. Hi guys, yeah, I'm Ollie, work in the commercial team here in London. So just to talk about partnerships very briefly, we make various different partnerships here at Inari, all aimed to make the life of the insurance professional easier. So that's ranging from, let's say, an underwriter assistant all the way through to C-suite. And we're doing this really by bringing the best-in-class technology into one place. So to keep with the theme here, how do our partnerships provide value to the insurance customer? Well, briefly put, we allow the practitioner to do what they do best, which is effectively write insurance and provide a really good customer experience, not scrape around multiple platforms to make a decision, various different data sources to get the data in order to make that decision, and then rekey information into 3 or 4 different systems. So really, by providing good technology in one place for the practitioner, we're increasing sort of job satisfaction, we're allowing good decisions to be made very, very quickly, in turn decreasing operational costs, which we hope means a better customer experience for your policyholders and perhaps a cheaper premium. So as my colleagues have mentioned, we do a lot of the heavy lifting with policy administration systems, inwards and outwards reinsurance platforms, as well as the border ingestion and management process. So we do this really, really well. And as Inari, we're 50 people. I think it'd be a bit of a tall order to try and increase efficiencies across the whole insurance value chain. So we are really sort of laser focused on sort of helping with the heavy lifting side, and then bringing our really intelligent colleagues in the market, who are other insurtechs who are doing amazing things, and bringing them in to increase our offering as well as theirs. Why compete with others when we can all bring it into one place and enhance our offerings? So far, this has been really, really helpful for everyone. So the customer gets all sorts of technology, as in the insurance customer. The insurers are able to use one platform and get access to all different types of technologies as well. And of course, insurtechs get access to insurers. So it's a win-win-win. To talk about how we're able to do this very briefly on the architecture side, we're API enabled and API first. And to put this simply, an old colleague of mine used to say the API is like the unsung hero of the insurance industry. So for those who don't know what an API is, very briefly put, it's effectively a waiter service for 2 different systems or databases, passing data between one another when it's called to do so. And so, like I say, we've been built in such a way to take advantage of this interconnectivity, so we can work with various different of our bright colleagues in the insurtech market. So to talk through a couple of examples where we're partnering and where we're looking to partner with other companies. First of all, document ingestion, having really interesting conversations about taking data points out of structured and unstructured documents, whether that's a SOV, a loss run, an MRC, but even actually we could take information out of an email, let's say, maybe a submission, and then go forward, triage that, and then send it directly into our policy administration system. Pricing, we're working with a very well-known London-based company who allows underwriters to create complex pricing models very, very quickly. So that's built into our platform too. Financial data, likewise, able to sort of get that data into a really clean format, pass on to downstream systems, the financial ledger. Like Sam mentioned, on external data, we can do sanctions checks, we can take coordinates, turn them into addresses, we can validate addresses all within our platform just by linking in with data providers. And then just to round it up on the claims side, having some great conversations with claims technology platforms where we can directly link in to deliver, fast, accurate claims decisions, which can prevent fraud and basically enable a really good customer experience. That's all from me on the partnership side. Over to you, Norbert.
Thank you very much, Ali. My name is Norbert Jimeno, and I joined Inari a little over 7 months ago now as a key account manager. Previously, I worked in the financial services as a relationship manager. Sorry, can we move on to the next slide? Excuse me. Thank you very much. I used to work in the financial services industry as a relationship manager for high net worth individuals. And I was dealing with what I thought were the most demanding clients in the world until I met our current ones now. Switching industries is always a daunting task, but our mission was simple, to deliver the best client experience possible using a combination of personalization, communication, and continuous improvement. Really, the vision of Frank and our other founders captivated me. It presented a unique opportunity to help build a commercial team of a forward-thinking company in my hometown of Barcelona, and I jumped really at the chance to make a difference. So over the last few months, we have been working to modernize, standardize, and renovate our internal systems to improve communication and boost efficiency, both within our organization and for our valued customers. Thanks to the implementation of advanced tools and technologies, we are now better equipped than ever to anticipate and meet our clients' needs with prompt response times, whether they require a new piece of software deployment or have a query that needs to be answered urgently. We have taken a proactive approach to improving interdepartmental communication, resulting in a more streamlined and agile sales cycle that is capable of delivering results to our clients. So from initial contact to the renewal stage, we're now able to provide concise and high-quality responses that demonstrate really our commitment to putting our clients first in everything we do. Our process really is designed to provide our clients with a seamless experience where they interact with various teams in our company to ensure that their needs are met at every stage of the way. However, the main point of contact for our clients will mostly be with our project and account management teams. These teams basically hold recurring meetings to understand our clients' goals, the timelines that they have, the expectations, and ensuring that we ourselves deliver on our promises. Whether it's in our offices here in sunny Barcelona or in the customer's office worldwide, we value very much interacting with our clients on a personal and face-to-face basis to discuss current developments and future implementations as well. This really helps us gain an in-depth understanding of their needs and deliver on tailored solutions. Now, as a fast-growing company, we strive to standardize our product while recognizing that each client has unique needs. So to ensure the best fit, we dedicate ourselves to really understand our client businesses inside out and partly tailoring our solution to their specific requirements. So that results in a personalized tool that they can use on a daily. Our cutting-edge technology, coupled with our dedicated service, is designed to deliver the ultimate value to the end customer, a crucial aspect that is often overlooked in our industry. So we strive to offer our clients a truly unparalleled service, bringing the most qualified professionals at each stage of the process, from our seasoned sales team to our expert engineers. And our entire team is laser focused on the same goal, which again is delivering an exceptional customer experience. So when you partner with us, you can expect to work with a passionate and dynamic team that really is committed to making the implementation of our technology a seamless process, enabling your organization to achieve its goals more quickly and efficiently. So that would be all from me. I believe if we switch now to the next slide, we'll go on to the questions.
Thank you very much for that, Norbert. That's very much appreciated. Well, just before we move on to the questions, just to cover off the learning objectives that were set out at the start of this presentation was to outline the value chain, to demonstrate the two main products for Inari, which was Kitsune and Matsuri, to demonstrate Inari's ecosystem and partnership benefits, and to understand how technology in the insurance market will provide a better customer experience and perhaps make premiums cheaper. So thank you for that. So if you have any questions to our delegates, if you have any questions, please drop the questions in the chat box. Inari will be very happy to answer any that you may have. I do have a couple, if I might put to you. I don't know who's best placed to answer this first one, but once a customer or prospective customer engages with Inari, is there any kind of standard time limit on which you could perhaps best guess from the point that they sign a contract with you till you've got a system platform up and running and it's live. Is there a time frame that you could put on that? Or is that a bit like how long's a piece of string?
Yeah, I could take that one. It's actually two bits, so there is a piece of string component to it, right? So usually the core platform is very standardized in terms of setup time. So we spin up an environment. So each customer has their own segmented environment. So it's not on shared infrastructure. It's not, you know, have multiple people on the same platform. That spin up time is actually quite quick. And then the actual delivery time will depend on the amount of products the customer will want in the platform. If these are things we already have in our sort of form libraries and data models. So this is sort of the 20% that Norbert was alluding to before, right? So obviously a lot of the customization is around data capture, because really at the end of the day, you know, running an endorsement, for instance, or you know, it's very easy to configure how you want renewals to work. That's really within the scope of the user being able to, or a client customer being able to manage the platform themselves. So usually come in that bit there. Some customers have needs that are very much aligned with the things that we already have. So that implementation time is very short, and others require more customization. But that's one of the advantages of the platform, which is taking opportunity of a lot of the standardization, but having that free reign to modify the system in certain meaningful aspects.
Thanks, Frank. And sorry to push you on this because I appreciate it might not be possible to answer, but have you got kind of like, I mean, could you give a benchmark as to the quickest you've got someone live on a platform versus, you know, what might be expected to be if it runs over a certain period of time, you know, it's kind of extensive work?
Yeah, so for instance, MGAs that, you know, are trading with products that we already have in the platform, that's fairly simple. You're looking sort of like a end-to-end, a 3 to 4 months, getting people up and running time. That's always when they're contained within the things that we have. Then you have other deployments that obviously are longer because there may be more specificities to the data they want to capture, maybe behaviors of a process flow. So you have standardized sort of pre-bind and post-bind process flows. Sometimes that changes as well, but the sort of that minimum is about 3 months to get it up and running.
Thank you for that. I have another question for you. Can it help MGAs manage their own partner relationships, for example, with brokers and appointed representatives?
Yeah, I'll take a part of that again. I think it's about when you have your relationships with the brokers, for instance, many times it's going to be, okay, well, what's what's the business that we're receiving as an MGA? You know, what are what our hit ratios are? You know, how much are we transitioning to bound status? When we're declining that business, why we're declining that? And so a lot of that revolves around having the data very, very easily accessible to you, right? And so I think where sometimes we fall over is, oh, well, let's give the brokers a broker-facing platform and login, for instance, which a broker has one for each of the MGAs that they're working with, so they have like hundreds of them. And I think more than giving them it's not necessarily about giving them a login, it's about how do I mine that information relative to the broker very, very quickly, and how can I use that to have a meaningful discussion, right? And so I think, yeah, by that same token for ARs as well. So, you know, one iteration of the platform at the beginning, we were, our customer was an AR. And so we'd have the MGA, the carrier, logging in and finalizing sort of the bind for that sort of a pre-bind process. And so the ability to actually go in and mine that data and say, okay, well, that's, you know, when we're not binding that business, you know, which classes are there and which jurisdictions and which industries. So you can really drill down and say, okay, what's the nature of the problem here and why we can't do that. So I think it indirectly does when you have access to clean, reliable data.
Thank you for that. Again, please drop your questions into the chat box should you have them. I have another question for you. This might be a bit cheeky, but what would you say differentiates you from your peers? I won't say competitors, but your peers, so those businesses that perhaps make a similar offering to Inari.
Yeah, I think it's actually the four fundamental things that we talked about in the beginning, right? And so if we look a little bit more deeper in there, so the way we manage data and use data in the platform, the technologies and the IP that we've built, is actually very different to our peers, right? And yeah, we know a lot of them, and we get on very well with everybody, and it's a big market, and they're really nice people. I think the approach that many of the peer systems take within how data is managed, stored, and produced and used is very different for us. For instance, our platform doesn't use a traditional database, right? And that's getting sort of in the weeds of some of the IP, but what that allows you to do is actually go and say, okay, I'm going to take a look at a piece of risk, and I want to see what that policy looked like the 17th of August last year. And not only that, I want to see exactly these types of things that happen, for instance, with some, maybe I was doing a bit of back and forth with some technical pricing. And so the user can actually go in and pull that out very, very easily, right? And so that revolves around. So I think the data piece is one of them. And besides the UX component, I think it's the system that's being built to integrate. It's a very, very modern, the thing isn't so much relative to technology, it's relative to the vision, right? Saying, okay, well, if we sit in the middle here, we can't do everything. And anytime the vendors try to do everything, as we know, there's some things you get really good at, others you don't. So we're very comfortable knowing what we do well, but that ease of use to integrate with other insurtechs data, pull information out, and even to sit alongside legacy for that fact, which is valuable. I think that's one of the things that sets us apart as well, and the things that we've built to be able to do that.
Thank you for that. I think that's a really good point. I think many businesses run on what we potentially call legacy systems, and it's the horror of trying to integrate that somehow into a new system. I could quite imagine would, halt any particular plans, and it would be in the too hard to deal with bucket. So I have another question for you, and this will be my final question unless anybody else has got any more through the chat. We've still got plenty of time, but are you able to give kind of any case studies, perhaps any of your success stories? I think it's always good for people to kind of visualize how their requirements might have already been carried out, might have already been implemented.
Yeah, I'll take that. You guys are going to get bored of my voice, but
not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, I think we have two case studies, one for each product, right? So within the bordereau management piece, I think at a very, very general high level, we were able to take a process of management of rolling bordereaux that our client had with their cover holders, which was invariably a process that lasted days and weeks, and a lot of manual triaging. And parts of that process, we actually turned it into minutes, right? Especially in the aspect of just getting that bordereau in and doing that sort of preliminary sanitization and conforming it to a data standard that we can do very, very quickly. But then more importantly is then when we have that data, being able to run a series of very basic business rule checks and prepare that information that then they can take that and use it wherever they need it, either ingesting into their data warehouse or into another policy administration system. So, taking that process from weeks into minutes, I think from a time perspective, it's important. And the other valuable thing about case study is the way that data was analyzed, normalized, conformed, and then we ran rules against it. It's the same today as it would have been 4 months ago. And so, as we know, sometimes you have rotation within departments, people need to be onboarded, and sometimes that criteria changes. So it's very predictable. And in the space of more the MG policy administration space, again, through that sort of ingestion of data, connecting to different things, and with that sort of automation, again, turning your typical sort of SME, DNO, cyber business, PI, turning that process again into minutes. So the underwriter logs in, and basically, we know that piece of risk is within a particular binding authority. We've automatically done a sanctions search. We've done some premium calculations. We already know what the FX rates are. We've maybe gone to company's house to pull some additional information. Basically, all that's happened. So when the underwriter logs in, what they've been encountering is we're in that sort of pre-quote or quote status. And now I can do some quality underwriting with it, and I have my tabs and different insights. So, and again, it's not only the speed, it's the fact that that individual hasn't had to do all that work, and they're actually doing underwriting instead of data triaging or data entry. So those would be two of the more relevant use cases.
Holy grail for every underwriter, they just underwrite. Thank you for that, Frank. I don't have any more questions unless there are any further questions in the chat. So it just really leaves me to say thank you so much to Inari today, and Frank, Ollie, Norbert, Karina and Maysam for your time. It really is invaluable to hear about the services that you offer and the art of the possible. To our delegates, thank you very much for joining us. We do appreciate you taking the time to learn a bit about Inari and what they do and how they might be able to make your life easier. Details are on the screen at the moment. If you want to find out more from Inari, please do contact Frank or Oliver. The email addresses are also on the screen. So the recording will be uploaded to the MGAA YouTube channel and website, and the slide deck will be sent post-event along with the survey. I please would urge you to complete the survey. It takes very little time and it really is invaluable to have your opinions on whether the MGA are delivering the right market briefings for you. So thank you very much. Have a great afternoon and hope to see you again soon. Thank you.